Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Homestory Cup 20. We continue on here with the best of twos. Here in group stage A. Spawning here to the top left side of the map. Oh my god. Of course, it's a liquid versus liquid battle. Why wouldn't it be? It always happens. To the top left side of the map, we of course have the now aptly Canadian, but definitely German, blue Zerg player from Team Liquid. It's TLO. And his opponent made a big comeback to the Starcraft scene last year around Homestory Cup. It's been about a year. I'm hoping to see some good improvement out of this guy because he was a legend. It's, of course, Team Liquid's Taeja. Taeja was one of the hardest working Terran players I can remember at his prime. And of course, like all good careers, ruined as he had to go to military forcibly in Korea. But not to dwell on it too much because it's been some time since he's been back. He's had a lot of time to practice. And TLO's in an interesting spot right now too. I feel like their skill level should be close. I don't mean this in any positive or negative way. I just, without having any real information to back up, just kind of what I've witnessed from the odd games that I've been casting, I feel like if Taeja's doing well enough, he should be up to par with at least TLO, if not some of the other many players in this event today. But of course, skill comes with a bit of an asterisk because it's the patch and there's been changes and we really don't know how that's going to affect these players. Is Taeja, for example, going to excel at creep tumor denies now that TLO has to can no longer cancel live tumors? Or is TLO, Mr. Creative himself, going to slap Taeja with some fast lurker timings with that lurker den decrease? I don't know. Like, there's just a lot to fathom. But if I'm going to be really honest with all of you watching, it is likely and most likely going to be just normal gameplay. Because I said earlier, and I'll say it again, until something really changes, you're going to see people not deviate from what they're used to practicing. And I doubt, and I hate saying this because it sounds like I'm taking a bit of a dump here, but I really doubt anyone spent any time practicing on the balance patch for this. I know Wardy's been hosting some balance patch tournaments, but realistically, these guys have been playing ladder. They haven't been playing specifically custom balance patch mod games for Homestory Cup 20. So as I said before, and I'll reiterate, I don't think most of today we're going to see much, but be sure that the other players who are not currently competing, who are in groups C and B or whichever groups aren't playing out today, they're watching these games, they're watching the players, they're cheering on their friends, and they're going to be seeing like, oh, wait a minute, that guy did that. That was really cool. Or, hey, he did that and that was really bad on the new patch, and they will adjust accordingly. Huck is giving 3,000 US to the best match in Homestory Cup. Was that on Twitter or something? I haven't heard about that. That's pretty cool if that's true, though.
I like you.
I do, Bardino. Thank you for the 10 months. Third base coming down from TLO, and of course, with that Reaper being cleaned up, no more pokey poke to have to worry about. But Taeja's moving out with some Hellions. Now, and as unfortunate as it was to just watch Solar crush Soul, I think it did show us some of the basics of TVT, or excuse me, TVZ still apply. You're going to need your walls. You can't push out for nothing. And you have to make it worth your while, but ooh.
I like you.
Plastic Puddle, thank you for the Twitch Prime. With the Fusion Core on the way, this could be one of two things. But let's be honest, I'm not even going to talk about the second one. It's probably a Battlecruiser. And with the Battlecruiser in play, what I really like is the new change we'll get to see. The Battlecruiser being stunned for 1 second before being able to teleport, which it normally does right across the map. Also, yo, I have been playing StarCraft 2 since its release. I've only been commentating it for about 7 years. But one thing that I never knew until a random Reddit user posted this earlier today, I had no idea the Battlecruiser got an animation change for when Yamato Cannon finishes researching. Like, I know what the Battlecruiser looks like, and I've looked at it with Yamato Cannon and without a million times, but I did not have any freaking idea that this caused a visual upgrade to the Battlecruiser until today. I was today years old when I woke up and saw Reddit. And what it does is it creates a little bit of a flashy thing down the neck of the Battlecruiser, I suppose you could say, and opens up the front with a big hole for the actual Yamato Cannon. I'll try my best to show that if and when it times out for the research, because that blew me away. And oh, it's mech behind this too. Okay, so we are 100% getting a different style of game than we had with Soul and Solar earlier. But Battlecruiser, there's that stun 1 second. It's not much, but it's enough to maybe get that killing blow if the Battlecruiser's out of position. Taeja blinks in, and oh, there's already 2 Spore Crawlers down from TLO. He was so ready for this. Double Spore Crawlers and Queens. Not double spoilers on every mineral line, just the main base. It's gonna be a little bit difficult for Taeja to get much damage done with this, but it is pressure. And with TLO having to invest in more Queens and more Spore Crawlers, that's not 14 lanes running around the map, similar to what we saw out of Soul and Solar. Well, I guess out of Solar in particular. But okay, watch this, watch this. Upgrade's gonna finish soon. I know we can watch whatever's happening here. This is gonna open up. It's gonna spread its mouth wide open. Oh, okay. Ooh. We'll watch this for a second. I'm really jaded though, guys. I want to get this on camera. 5 seconds to go. Okay, back to the battle. Oh no, it's the wrong way. Well, you're gonna see it open up. Look, it splits and it starts glowing. What? I had no idea. That's amazing. Okay, back to the Hellions. To the main part of this, because there's a lot of very vulnerable workers that don't have a lot of army units supporting them because of the money invested in the, I guess, anti-battlecruiser defense. But getting caught in this position for Taeja, at a glance, it looks great because it's protected against the Lings. But then you realize, wait, I can't escape. And Hellions are supposed to be mobile units. If Taeja had an armory at the timing for that attack, and turn those, well, he did. So he just didn't turn them into Hellbats. I don't understand. That was a bad move then. I'm sorry, Taeja. That was a bad move. Anyways, the Hellion attack falls flat, unfortunately. I don't know if he's still lurking around, by the way, but I gotta give a little bit of a shout out here to Ollie. He's one of the guys who updates Game Heart and keeps it alive. And he's added some stuff here where resources lost will now show structures lost too, which is really cool in my books. All the units are supposed to fit now too, I believe. But most importantly, watch when workers start dying, watch the worker kill counter. It's got like a really nice subtle pop added to it. And I actually didn't think I would care. I love it. I actually love it. Oh, speaking of which, watch this. That's gonna pop to say 4 and 5 and 6, and I don't know. I hope that if this hits 30, there's like a multi-kill, but not now. 9 drones die for a couple of Hellions. I'd say worth it. And unlike the series prior, you know what? There's not been run-bys, so Taeja's SCV count is actually pretty good. The Battlecruisers have remained alive for this game, so he'll have that defense through the sky, but also the constant harassment potential, especially now that Yamato Cannon's done. And oh, we'll get some drop overlords that can hit the main base. Oh, this is actually, ooh, this could actually hurt a lot because it's a lot easier to stim Marines back up to the main base than walk siege tanks, get a position, and hopefully have Hellbats in front of them, that thing. So while I admire the run-by attacks here out of Taeja, he's going to take some pain in the main base. No question about it. And Taeja, you can afford to lose a couple of units here due to the wonderful use of the Battlecruiser and Hellions earlier, but not too many. Blue Flame's now done too. This will be pushing this off with relative ease. I'm surprised the Battlecruisers didn't come over. Oh, looks like they're hunting now. More Hellions looking to run by, but you know what's funny? Hydras are technically weak to Hellions through their Blue Flame, but you have to do some very, very specific moving. Oh, deleted! You have to do some very specific moves with your Hellions to actually have them counter Hydras. If you just auto attack them, for example, only the furthest one will lick the front line. But oh, guys, seismic spines. Are we on Hive Tech? TLO, did you rush there? Here we are. So we're gonna have some lurkers come out. They're gonna have some pretty exceptional range to them too. Lurker Hydra versus Mech. I am most curious to see how this plays out. Make no mistake, the tanks should still be a trump card in most situations, but then that gets thrown for a loop when you have Vipers in play. Between Abducts as well as Blinding Clouds, I don't know how well tanks will be suited to fight against this. Oh man, this is a lot of good creep cleanup too. Say that 5 times fast. With these tanks set up as is, it's going to be really difficult to get in. The Hellbats will hold the front line. Even if they eat the families, they take out most of the Lings, so the tanks have got nothing to fear. And this base will probably just have to be abandoned. I like the lurkers. So the lurkers have 10 range on them now. They don't have the fast burrow on burrow. This is a situation, by the way, where teleport would not have saved that battle cruiser. Yoink. Wait, did that put teleport on cooldown? Hold on. Wait. Okay, so does the battlecruiser get totally screwed now by abducts? That's what it looks like. I didn't think that 1 second would allow it to happen, but I guess that's a moment where you can catch it. Cool. Here we go. Balance patch, boys. By the way, Taeja not sweating it too bad from this. He's got 3 extra command centers coming down. He's got extra bases going down. He's putting the pressure on TLO. Sure, he's taking a few losses, and granted, they're expensive losses on the front line, but Taeja's kind of kicking ass so far in this game. Oh, I didn't bleep it. Oh, all right, blinding clouds should be hitting here. Yep, takes out some of the tanks on the left side. Tanks on the right side still going strong. But there's that instant burrow from the lurkers. And with them able to get in position to shoot the tanks. Remember, these lurkers hit for 33 against armored. They are going to chunk tanks. They're going to chunk Thors. The hardest thing is getting in range. And, well, that blinding cloud allowed them to do it with the instant unburrow combo. Here we go, moving up again. Trading out for their army. I mean, these are more expensive losses for TLO because of how many units he's losing right now. But the bigger units from Taeja are also really expensive to lose too. So it's a little harder to get the kills on Taeja, but when he does, it really pays off. TLO, by the way, I don't know if he's stressing it right now, but he's not moving towards a 5th. Oh, now he is. Excuse me. Nice call on the timing, Rifkin. Thank you, Rifkin. But 5th base aside, this isn't really a game about money, but if it was, it's all about Taeja. He's got 85 SCVs. I would argue go for 100, why not? But 85 SCVs, mules to boot, and planetary fortresses to defend his bases. There's no opportunity for TLO to do anything here without super committing. Looks like tactical jump was, yeah, interrupted again by that abduct. That is neat. I think Battlecruisers, they definitely got away with too much. Like the instant teleport, invulnerable, was kind of gross. Oh my god, so many workers are dying. So many workers just died. But I think that there definitely needed to be something done about it. I don't know about this 1 second stun if it allows the teleport to be canceled entirely. I feel like if you can use that 1 second to abduct, cool, but shouldn't the teleport still go off? Question mark. I guess it doesn't really matter too much. It's just an interesting nuance because I'm a big Battlecruiser fan, which is why I'm way over analyzing this. Ultimately, has it been that big of a deal for Taeja? It's hurted. It's hurt him, sure, but at the same time, this forced TLO to go to hive tech. The playstyle is very different. We're gonna see these new Thors in action too. Okay, Taeja and TLO are showing us the new balance badge. Thank you guys. One of the ones we went over earlier is the Thor's single target attack now does less damage per shot, but it still hits pretty dang hard. And on top of that, it attacks much faster now. But keep in mind, because people get confused about this, that bonus damage only comes versus massive, not versus armored. So, granted, they still hit pretty hard, 31. That'll help snipe off some of these Vipers. Wait, is the Lurkers outrange Thors now with a ground attack? They do. Thors only have 7 range. Lurkers have 10 with this upgrade. That's kind of cool to see. I want to see more Lurker usage, but I don't think TLO has enough. He's got 95 army supply, but it doesn't feel like it. Where's the army supply? Oh, the Thor's walking back. They're just going to die, though. Those spikes, those spines are too many, and there's the reinforcements. Absolutely chunking away. 36 damage to any armored unit. And, of course, that doesn't diminish. You can hit like 11 armored units and it's still full damage on all of them. It's neat though to see TLO not using infestors, but I guess, you know, like, I can still see fungal growth being useful, for example. I don't, obviously Microbial Shroud would have no real effect in this game, and Neural Parasite could be used too for some of the tanks, I suppose, but not saying he needs to, just thinking about the possibilities with the changes. However, these Lurkers are kind of just crushing it, so hard to complain. Taeja's got a lot of money banked up, though, so even if he takes army losses like this, replacing it's not that much of an issue for him. Oh god, he's got +3 armor, so he's not actually taking that much damage. Battlecruisers have 6 armor when maxed out. Hydra's only hitting for 14, so it's almost half the damage. Now it cleans those up. And money spent 5 Thors at a time. Oh no! Is this Taeja or is this Alpha Star? Oopsies. Battlecruisers in the middle of the map going down. Blinding Clouds abusing the hell out of these Thors. Forced to be in full retreat mode. If there was Hellions here with this, they'd probably stand their ground and fight. The abducts are just a little bit too painful to deal with right now. Oh, this is getting tough. I don't know how I feel about the mass Thor. Thors are very powerful units, right? And they deal tons of damage. They got health, they've got armor, but they're not very microable. And as you can witness through these battles, abducts are pretty good ways to deal with them. In fact, I'm a little surprised Taeja hasn't opted to go for any starports other than the first one. I think Vikings would be super useful here. Oh my god, everything here is stuck. He's got to kill the tech lab to get out. But I think Vikings to snipe the Vipers? Question mark? Because the Thors aren't quite cutting it. I mean, TLO's done a great job in this game. They've both lost similar resources. Very different tech styles, though, from what we'd be used to seeing in this matchup classically. And, you know, Hydras have had their place in the matchup for sure. Lurkers really haven't, not versus Terran. So it's very neat seeing these upgrades suddenly make these units far more viable in these games. I hope it doesn't give away too many of the Hellions for this, by the way. These Hellions are so important. They're what's going to help deal with the Hydralisks and, of course, any Lings that run up on them. One of the greatest detriments to a Thor is its slower attack speed, so it doesn't deal with a lot of units very well. Oh my god, 2 abducts per Thor. Trying to shoot these out of the sky, but stuck in the blinding clouds. This is going to be so infuriating for Taeja. Oh my god, I would be chucking my keyboard against the wall right now. Just what do you do about this Vipers? Well, there's actually some really obvious answers. One of the big things I think Taeja is missing, though, Vikings are the easy answer. I think wait, he's tech swapping. I didn't even catch that. He just finished stim. He's tech swapping a bio. I was gonna say one of the things I thought he was gonna go for, should go for, is ghosts in the shockwaves upgrade. Oh my god! Oh no! No! That was not good for those Marines. They don't have the health to take those spikes. But see, if Vipers persist to be a problem, either snipes or the shockwave for EMP, but like having neither of those and no Vikings, Taeja's just leaving himself very vulnerable to these Vipers. It's not like this game is coming down to the Lurkers. A lot of it's coming down to the Lurkers, but make no mistake, like it's the lack of dealing with the Vipers that allows these Lurkers to run as wild as they have been so far. And the bio swap is one that comes at great cost. It's very expensive to make a tech swap like this. It's why Terran players don't often change out, but I think Taeja's just gotten fed up with mech. Perhaps unhappy with his early game decision. We may not even see mech again in this series, depending on how this game goes results-wise. But between the Marines and the Thors, he does start cleaning this up. Loses the Planetary Fortress, but keeps the orbitals alive. And I would argue that's more important at this stage of the game, because you don't want to be rebuilding 23 SCVs. You want to be dropping mules and maxing out your army supply. But wait a minute. He's producing 10 SCVs at a time. Taeja, you're crazy. We haven't even looked at the income in a while, and I guess makes no mistake, Taeja's been killing it. So I guess that's where he's had the money to make this tech swap. Still don't know how I feel about it. Thor's in the medevacs to scoop him away. Not a bad choice, but still risky with the Hydras right there. Tanks on the low ground trying to help cover this too. Tanks have got that big damage to deal with this. They just need detection and they need the range, and there you go. Giving them a little bit of both. Marines pushing up on this too. TLO starting to run out of army supply. And that bio swap. I really like this bio swap. GG, Taeja takes game number 1. God, there was so much that went on and in that game. I feel like I could talk about that game all day. Taeja, TLO, they both did a lot of what I feel is they made good moves. So that wasn't just like a gimmick game where they were messing around with the patch because who knows how to play. But it was a good game. I think it had some really cool exploration of new units and new abilities and changes to the patch. And we got to see how that very directly affected some things like the Battlecruisers in those instances. In situations where previously every single Battlecruiser would have escaped, instead you've got these scenarios where the Vipers are just absolutely denying the teleports. And apparently there's nothing Taeja can do about that other than die. But map 2 is coming up on Winter's Gate. Also, I've been given a video thing to swap out for the sponsor role. So I'm going to do that now really quick while we load in. Give me a second here, folks. Because this little thing here was kind of thrown together by me. I wasn't given the proper assets. But now I have the proper assets, and we're going to try this out. Sponsor overlay. All caps. All right, let's take that down then. Sorry, folks, 1 second. Where's this slideshow? Let's get rid of that. Oh, I don't think they've given this to me in proper proportions. Yeah, look at that. It doesn't line up. Hang on, I'm gonna have to do some. I think that looks good. Okay, if it doesn't, we can fix it later. Hopefully that's fine for now, though. Let's hop into game number 2 of the series. It is a best of 2. If you don't know what a best of 2 is, exclamation mark best of 2 in the Twitch chat. Let's rock and roll. To the bottom right, for the second time today, we get to see the blue Zerg. It is Dr. Dario TLO. And at the top left, he's got 1 point on the board, but that was not a clean game by any means. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Taeja. Oh, I meant BO2, but I guess I could add the command of best of 2. You guys are clever. Command add best of 2. Boom. There, now both will work. But, you know, the series score is obviously important. If you get a 2-0, that's a win for you. Fantastic. If there's ties where it's 1-1 all over the place, then map score matters. Basically, this allows people to play a lot more games, and it creates a less chaotic and less long bracket than best of 3s. If you were to do pure round robin all best of 3s, the issue is that the length of those games is unpredictable, and some people will play a really long game and some people won't, and it could hold up and delay brackets. So to be honest, while I'm not a fan of best of 2s because frankly I barely understand them myself, they do make more sense to use when you have this many players competing. I mean, Homestory Cup has a massive lineup. If you haven't seen it, there are just so many people involved playing in this dang thing. And what I like too, by the way, if you guys haven't seen the list for this, you know, a lot of the time, if you want to get 32 Starcraft players together or any amount in such high quantity, you're gonna have a couple of let's say uneven matches, to be polite. But this is like every player here is somebody who is a round of 8 or higher player. Like every player competing in Homestory Cup, like this is an all-star event. They flew out Koreans, they flew out everybody for this. In fact, I don't know if you guys saw the story for this or not. TY sadly couldn't make it due to visa issues, so they flew out special, like super last second. Everybody who's a player that could be there is there. That's awesome to see. Taeja being very annoying with this Reaper. It's forced TLO to take a different third base than I guess he had initially wanted to. But Winter's Gate has got these annoying slow fields, and they can be both good and bad. On one side, by having them out... Ooh, he's really hoping that would just finish. Having them outside here helps deter things like medevac drops, right? You're going to be slow going through that, no fun. But on the other side of it, it also prevents you from getting out of your base very quick to react to things. TLO done playing Silly Billy. He was just distracting the Reaper with that drone. He had no intention of taking a fast fourth. So Taeja gonna realize that, now scouts the third and says, ah, okay, I wasted my time with that drone. I don't know if he'll escape to the main. Okay, well, barely. Ling should still kill this. At best, this Reaper gets another scout, but it's very unlikely it's gonna get out of the base alive. One thing I really want to see is I want Taeja to play Bio this time. And I want to see the new medevac upgrade come into effect. I think the naturally fast medevacs are going to be insane and especially useful for dropping. Newbie in the chat says, why aren't you in Berlin? Because I am at home. I think, honestly, if they had the setup for it, they would probably have flown somebody out to do a B stream for sure, whether it's me or anyone else. And oh, Bio this time for sure. Yay. But they're at like a resort that's usually done for holidays and vacations. It's not really an esports thing. It makes sense that they wouldn't want to have to worry about that and just instead kind of farm out the B stream. In this case, it happened to work out for me because I wasn't doing anything this weekend, and I love Homestory Cup. I will say though, if you guys don't know, I had a pretty bad experience last time I was in Germany too. I'm not exactly rushing to fly back out there. I had my closest to near-death experience at the last Homestory Cup, and I don't want to necessarily repeat that so quickly. Oh, this Viking is getting really screwed over here by dipping into the slow zones. That's super annoying. It's nice to get a Viking out to clear out overlords, but in this case, this Viking just scouted a big all incoming, and Taeja, who was ill prepared for this, now starts throwing down 3 bunkers. He's worried about this attack ending his life, and he should be. He is not prepared for this. The timing is not here. There's a tank out that will help buy a little bit of time. Several Marines are going to bleed out before this fight actually takes like any defensive structure here for TLO or Taeja. TLO's Lings are getting cleaned up here by the Hellions. 1 bunker is ready to go. SCV's now pulled over towards it. Other bunker now loaded up. These Marines are so close to dead, though, that I don't know that they can jump from bunker to bunker. This is not a lot of Marines in general. So the damage, in all honesty, is kind of low here. SCVs, though, crazy surround, good repairs. Hold that bunker for now. For Taeja, he doesn't have to really have a bunch of SCVs survive from this. He just has to survive right now. TLO taking the opportunity to grab a supply depot, hoping to supply block his opponent. Not quite yet, but almost. Taeja's still pretty boldly producing SCVs while this goes on, which I find a little surprising. It's a little bit scary when you don't have much money to be spending it on things like SCVs, but all hands on deck. Now he needs them to bridge that gap. Mules will drop over here, and for TLO, I think he's pretty satisfied with his damage. He knows what he did. He killed a few workers. He got some of the buildings up here for the defensive side of the wall, and he'll just withdraw and start droning. Now he's moving on to layer as we speak, and that's about 70% of the way done. And a 4th base on the way for him too. It's not like this is a crazy hard recovery for Taeja. I mean, if you look at the losses here, it was mostly workers, so he still has army units to push with. Once those medevacs pop out, he could still do the 2-tank push if he's feeling bold enough to do it. It's hard to justify, though, because as far as he's aware, one good all-in deserves another. And likely, especially with very limited scouting, he's just waiting to be hit again. I think that's why it took him so long to salvage the bunkers. Bunkers are salvaged, sure, but the tanks certainly aren't going to be pushing with this army, which is still being topped up by these medevacs. Stim's done, however. 1-1 in combat shields is coming up here very soon. There's going to be a really nice timing for these Marines, be it defensively or offensively. I'm actually a little sad now that this isn't a best of 3, by the way, because I really want TLO to win this one and then go to like game 3. That's what my brain, like, muscle memory is reaching for, but that's not the case, obviously. This is just the best of 2. So this will be the last game they play one way or the other. But for the TLO fans out there, win or lose, we're likely going to be following him on the brackets just for simplicity's sake, on account of the fact that these matches are being played kind of YOLO Wild Wild West style. I'm not sure how much you can trade out for here. Grabbing a Ravager would be nice. Medevac's getting slowed on the way out, but they still make it out alive. Armory coming down. That's going to allow him to continue his upgrades. Production for Taeja is certainly not the problem at the moment, but money might just be. TLO, if we look at the income, should be ahead. Close for quite a bit too. Taeja picking some interesting fights here. There's good responses out of TLO on both sides, so these drops are not going unhindered. Taeja grab some creep down the middle of the map too. That's a really forward, bold creep out of TLO, but I guess if he pulls too much army to deal with these Marines in the middle of the map, Taeja will just go drop in the main base. He's got those medevacs there, and in fact, I think he's making the move right now as we speak. Unfortunately, perhaps some autopilot, he drops into roaches, and most of the Marines are now dead. Feels bad. Can we follow Taeja instead, please? I can't promise you guys that. The reason TLO is easy to promise is he doesn't appear to be reserved for the main stage. Excuse me, the main stream. but Taeja has several of his matches preserved for the mainstream. So honestly, my goal here is just to get games more than anything else. Oh, good morning, fart bag. Good to see you in the chat, dude. This looks like a forever stuck on 3 bases for the Terran. Yes and no. I mean, there's a 4th one on the way, so hopefully no. But at some point, the pressure is going to be so strong for Taeja, ideally, that's where he gets the freedom to expand. I know the army supplies look really, really uneven. Seriously, TLO with 124 army supply. But look at the type of units, right? It's mostly roaches and some ravagers. This is a really deceptive supply lead. The army is more, but not necessarily better, if that makes sense. But as TLO starts transitioning into lurkers, that'll change, and the army will be better. Oh, I love that he focused the queen so he could pick up and get away uncontested. Marauders are coming out in some pretty big quantity now too. These roaches are being a problem, but Marauders, funny enough, will not be a hard counter to lurkers. Lurkers are going to be very similar to tanks in this regard. This drop gets cleaned up. Taeja, perhaps a little too focused on the left side, loses a lot of that momentum. Taeja's got a lot of medevacs right now, and that's a bit worrisome for me. I think what I'd really like to see is some Liberators added into the mix. I know there's the threat of them getting abducted and corrosive bios, but Liberators will actually be a sick way to deal with what is potentially lurkers. I mean, tanks will get the job done too. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Taeja needs to do this, but I don't know how long this bio is going to hold up for. Lurkers with that 10 range, and that's what TLO is researching right now, the extra 2 range on the lurkers. That's going to be really hard to engage on, even if you stim in with the Marauders. Remember, Marauders take bonus damage from the lurkers, and that splash damage on the line is pretty insane. I will say this much for TLO, though. While this army is like deceptively large, it has also been a surprisingly good investment of his minerals. Roaches are fairly cheap, and let's be honest, the later the game goes, they become kind of more garbage units, but they've guarded well versus, what, 6,000 minerals of losses so far. He's gotten to lurkers. He's on hive tech. I mean, the roaches did what they needed to do. They were the makeshift army to keep them alive. Now they're just buffer for the roaches, or excuse me, for the lurkers. And of course, Vipers in here. The most deadly thing would be a blinding cloud on that ramp. Something that Taeja's got to be a little careful of, because I don't know if he's actually seen the Vipers at any point yet. Someone in the chat remarking about the lack of Liberators and Banshees. I agree. I think actually more so than Liberators, I think Banshees with speed would be excellent in these situations. There's really not much anti-air. Ghosts are on the way. That's an interesting choice. You know what? I actually don't have a clue how Snipe's going to measure up versus 10 range. But if nothing else, it's EMPs for the Vipers, which I really like the idea of a lot. Coming from the south side, forcing that army to reposition. Taeja's got some tanks on the left side. We do have a flank of a counterattack. Oh, this is no small attack, though. Oh my god, this is the lurkers. Put those in the mineral line. They're going to destroy that SCV line in like 2 shots. Hatchery does fall for this, though. So for TLO, he's got to make these worth his while. Oh, there's no detection. I mean, he can scan, obviously, but right now, at this moment, there's no detection, and that range is massive. Clears out 9 SCVs at the cost of a couple lurkers and walks away. I love this tank ridge that's been set up over here, but they're... If TLO can get an angle of attack where he comes from the top side, instead of having all those tanks complement each other, most of them won't be involved with the fight at all. Does the Ghost Snipe outrange the new lurker? See, I don't know, to be honest. That's what I'm saying. Like, these new patch changes, no one's seen these really in full effect yet. So a lot of us, and including the players, are seeing for the first time. I would love to see how that interaction works, though. Hopefully we'll get to see that before this game's over. Ghost Academy's done, but there's no ghosts in play. Big attack coming in now with those Vipers. Gonna abduct the tanks. One off the high ground, too. Grab it. Yoink! Hungry, hungry hippos. They really, really eat. However, for Taeja, he does take losses at home, but he's paying back TLO in kind. If it's going to come down to a straight-up base race, I don't think TLO wins that. As cool as lurkers are, and as good as vipers are, Bio is just so much faster at getting around and killing all the buildings. So this is hurting Taeja for sure, but with all these extra bases coming down and expansions to the south, I think he's okay. Lifts up over the lurkers that were guarding the ramp and actually just gets into the main base with this drop now. There's so many medevacs here that there's actually like one medevac per unit on the ground. They each have a personal pocket healer. But still not enough to stick around through the lurkers, I guess. And Taeja's forced to withdraw for the time being. This isn't so bad, though, because with all this medevacs being over here, he's really got very little at home. Consolidating his forces would not be a bad idea right now. Here from your latest Alpha Star video. Yo, Marquise! Thank you for stopping by. Thanks for watching my YouTube, man. Also, hi, Roust. Oh, God, that burrow is seriously so fast. And like these Marines can't even outrange the spikes. They just fire a mile a minute. The tanks are spread out really well, though. I don't know if TLO can break the tank line. He's breaking the bio, but the bio comes in from behind. Those are the leftover drops left from behind out of Taeja. Catches the lurker thanks to concussive shells and is going to tap out. GG. Taeja takes a 2-0.